Whoa.
All right, so it says we're live. We'll see if we're live before we go live.
Are we live?
Boom, boom, boom.
If we're live, I've been looking goofy this whole time.
Are you looking? Can you find it?
Boom, boom.
Hold on, I don't see anything yet.
Probably just need maybe another minute.
All
right,
whoa.
We're live now. Yeah.
We're live now?
Okay.
Hey.
3, 2, 1. Welcome to BatYard's Finest, bringing you the finest of Batman and Superman and more in pop culture. From Metropolis, I am Josh from BatYard Productions, and here I am with my two fellow beautiful co-hosts. We'll just go in order. Whoever's next to me, go ahead.
What's up, everybody? It's Jerry, your Green Lantern from Ola. And to my right and next to me.
What's up, guys? I am Matt from Gotham. How you guys doing?
Well, we're excellent. At least I am. I'm kind of out of it today, but I think I'll be all right.
I'm with you. Today's been a weird day for me too. I've been like out of it, in and out.
Yeah, I felt like that earlier.
I just had me 4 donuts and a small coffee, so I'm all hyped up and ready to go.
Oh, you're ready.
No,
you're super. Jerry's gonna carry us through this episode.
I hope so. Like, today's been oof day.
Yeah, it's been one of those days.
Sleep? You ever have like a depression sleep, or really or a sleep that's like this like takes everything out of you instead of regenerates you?
Yeah.
Yes.
I get that.
Yeah, it's not a good time. That's what happened to me today, and I just like, what the fuck? Like, I was like gonna take like a 30-minute nap, and then watch like the actual like video we're supposed to watch, and then I just like depression sleep, and I'm like, no, I watched the show, but it took me a bit because depression sleep sucks. I like to call it that. It makes sense.
So you're depressed? Is that what
no,
you're saying?
it's yes, always. No, but no, it's like a heavy sleep. But a lot of people what's they call it? They like always like tie it to depression or something of like a depression.
Well, I've been anything but depressed lately. But so guys, you guys have any BS that you want to discuss? I know you guys seen a movie that I haven't seen. I guess you could do a non-spoilers review, and then if you really want to get into spoilers, I guess I could leave.
Like, how can we do that? Because this movie is really a spoiler.
I mean, I'm fine with waiting until Josh watches it to talk about it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna see it. I'm gonna see it I'm gonna see it next time for sure. Like by next episode. So I think that'll be fine. I feel like we're gonna have one.
How do I explain it though? Like Doctor Strange, multiverse
Just
of
do a
madness.
non-spoilers review.
No. I'm not even gonna do like a review. Like I'm not even gonna like dive deep into it. It's probably. You can't really talk about it without doing a spoiler or like doing something that hints to a spoiler. But I'm not gonna lie, this movie is probably the most gruesome one of them all.
That's what I hear. That's
like
what
everyone's like, oh, Endgame was probably the Endgame and Infinity War was probably the most fucked up things because like this and that happens and these people disappeared and all. Nah, Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness just kicks up to top gear like that. They just said fuck every other gear. They just shot up the highest gear and just went. Sam Raimi's didn't hold no freaking bar. Like he just went.
He came out of the gate thumping. It was.
Oof.
This is my favorite Marvel movie of the year. And I haven't even watched the other 2 that are slated to come out this year.
What are the other 2 again?
Thor: Love and Thunder and Wakanda Forever.
I'm not even. I need to know more about Wakanda Forever because
Yeah.
I don't know anything about that one. That one kind of just snuck up on me. I know about Thor, but they've been just more hush hush with like Black Panther and shit. And supposedly, I just saw. My dad was actually just like watching like YouTube and shit, and he stopped on like this one YouTube channel that likes to break down like trailers, and he got like a 30-second little breakdown quick for a second before he switched to the next video. And the guy broke down stating like there's like a the goddess of like the Black Panther's like spirit is in Thor with Thunder and Love and Thunder. Supposedly, she's sitting next to Valkyrie, Jane, and she's like in the front row underneath. Like you see the newest photos of them. You see a Valkyrie photo, like Valkyrie and Jane sitting next to each other, and like these like chairs, and underneath like a one slight like step down below them is another row of chairs. Is like this one woman with like a panther styled like helmet, and they are claiming that could be the goddess of the Black Panther. And I'm just like, okay, I gotta like, I didn't want to know that because I wanted to be ready for like that in the movie. But well, here we go. I was trying to pull a Jerry, but
I mean, maybe I know I personally haven't seen anything for Black Panther Wakanda Forever. I think they're really kind of keeping it, close to camp, just out of respect for Chadwick Boseman, who played a really large role in it, and they still
he did good.
And I still don't think they know honestly how they want to go with the direction of this other movie.
Well, like I heard they want to use the little sister, and I'm like, yeah, that'd be nice.
That's what I
but
heard
at the same
too.
time,
Yeah,
it's like, but like, how are they doing this? Like, how are they converting? That's my problem. Is how are they doing the converting? I'm like, I'm down with the sister. I love the sister's character. I love everything about her, but like, just don't know how they're doing that transition. It's gonna be really difficult, and the only thing we had left of Chadwick is like the what if video, like episode,
Yeah.
and a what if's a what if. That's like not actual canon unless they make it canon somehow.
I think they'll find a way to make it work. I don't know. I didn't even know it was slated to come out this year until I went to go see Doctor Strange, and they were like, "Oh, if you see all 3 of the Marvel movies this year, you get your bonus Regal points." I'm like, when the hell was this even announced?
That myself. Okay. Yeah, I was like
calling it like the year of the superhero movies or whatever. So maybe if it doesn't come out this year, it'll come out early next year. But I'm like, to me, that's still very soon to try to push a sequel to Black Panther.
I don't know. It's like it's not. To me, it's not. They're not push. It's not pushing it. It's been a while since we got the Black Panther alone movie. But I get what you mean with his passing and like all trying to figure out everything.
Yeah.
Details. But like, I don't know. Like, it's weird, including why would they call it the year of the superheroes when we had multiple years with multiple movies of superhero movies from Marvel in it? That's one thing.
It's a marketing ploy or something. Whatever.
I think it's because of the new phase of movies that might start rolling out because of the new movies coming in, which we'll get into next week. We're not going to spoil anything for Doctor Strange.
No,
I'll see it. I'll see it.
But Sam, we were stating before, like Sam Raimi literally stepped the fuck up with putting in his little twist into the Marvel universe. It's a different way that I was expecting it, but I'm happy with it.
I'm also very happy with it.
There is, if you haven't seen it yet, there is 2 cutscenes. One's really important, and one is just there. But it's for you, for whoever it's for the viewers that care about this end credit scene. That's it. I was happy with it. I'm okay with it. I know other people said, I don't care, I want to leave. I'm not gonna say it like, but whatever. But we're gonna just keep going with this. But what else? We got the latest news of like supposedly thanks to the trials, Warner Brothers rethinking of Amber Heard and Aquaman too.
Oh yeah, I heard that.
Good.
They might cut her out of the movie, but they already filmed. They already filmed the movie, so like, might as well just use her. You know, it doesn't even make any sense.
I think they should go ahead and just breach her contract and just terminate it so she doesn't get any money.
I mean, yeah, I think she already got paid for the role. I don't know how it works with like residuals after the fact. That's a good point.
Residuals is a weird thing, but I'm like, this is such a high profile case, and I did watch a little bit of the trial while I had a few minutes to spare at work, and when they were cross-examining her, it wasn't looking very good because they caught her in a couple of lies that she told, and it basically didn't add up and make sense. So here's hoping that maybe she gets found guilty. I don't know. I personally want it because why would you shit on the bed like a fucking animal?
I haven't been following it, to be honest. I just want to. I'm just waiting for the outcome. That's like all I'm doing.
I've been following it too much lately. It's keeping me entertained. But like it's really bad. Like Jerry did say, like literally today, it's like been Amber's like worst fucking slip up day. But at the end of the trial, when I started not caring anymore, they started bringing in like when they started bringing in her like witnesses, and it's all of her friends. It's not like business associates, anybody that's really like tied in like other than friendship, or on the stage, like getting questioned. Well, then I mean on the stage. Most of them were on Zoom, so like they're not even in court. So they're doing the testimonies there, and it's just like, I'm like, can I believe you? Because like we have like a lot of issues with like Amber being a real like horrible liar at the moment, and she can't even keep her story straight. How can I listen to you and see if you can keep your story straight and do things right? And like, I get it. Like Johnny's, like if anybody else here starts commenting about me saying this, but like Johnny's people that got witness, were the witnesses. A lot of them were people that worked for both of them at the time of when they're married and everything, and all that other stuff. And it's not like I think Johnny had like one childhood friend, and that was it on the case, and everyone else was just employees that was witness to all of like the things happening throughout the years. So like it was completely by like on both sides. But they could have been more on Johnny's side, I don't know, but it's just fishy. There's more fishier of Amber because her credibility of lying throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, I think we all know that she's lying. I don't know. I don't really want to get into it because I know. I just want to know the outcome. I haven't been following it. I can't tell you anything about it.
If Johnny's lawyer, Camille, right now keeps doing what she's doing, Amber's gonna fall to pieces even worse tomorrow and the next day that she's in trial.
Yeah.
Because she's doing a great job.
They should. I think they're getting ready to wrap up the case in about another 13-ish days. So like roughly, I think they're trying to set to be done by
this week.
Yeah.
I thought she was supposed to be done by the 21st.
I mean, it might.
I could be wrong.
Memorial Day.
Oh, did you?
I mean, the sooner that is done, the better.
It should, yeah. Definitely.
Okay. Do we have any other BS? I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Aquaman.
I have one small thing. I just for all the anime fans who follow us and know that me and Matt are very big anime people. I'm here to proudly tell you all that Fire Force Season 3 has been officially confirmed. There's not a official release date for Season 3, but Season 3 is coming.
That's cool. When is that coming out? Do you know?
I have no idea. I think because I know there's a lot of really big anime that people have been waiting to get animated coming out this year. So I think they might wait and push it to like the beginning of next year. So it won't be like a competition for, okay, who's going to get the most views because of, waiting and how things are going to get animated and, just such and so on.
Okay.
That's one show I still need to jump into. That's supposedly tied into the. That's the one tied into Soul Eater. Yeah, I did. I already seen the Soul Eater and Soul Eater not. So I had to jump in this.
Soul Eater not doesn't matter.
I know, but I've seen it because thanks to Billy. But like, is this like a prequel or is it more side?
Have you finished reading Hell's Paradise Volume 1 yet?
It's gonna disappear at the moment.
We'll talk about this later. Fire Force is a prequel to Soul Eater. I'm not gonna spoil it because I had a lot of it spoiled for me, but it is 100% a prequel to Soul Eater.
Okay.
The only BSBS, the only thing I have is Matt and I and cousin Tony just went to Saratoga Comic-Con last weekend, and we have a video that's going to be coming out in the next couple of weeks of Hercules doing interviews with different cosplayers throughout the throughout the grounds there or within the confines of the Comic-Con. So look forward to that video. It was a good time. Matt, do you want to express the details of the after party?
No, we can leave that alone. Okay. There's nothing involving us. We didn't do anything horrible or stupid. We just walked into stupid.
Yeah, we just walked into something that was very surprising, and it involved furry costumes.
I wasn't gonna talk about it, but okay.
That's all I was gonna reveal. I mean, that's basically all it was.
If you follow anybody that like is out of New York and then the Saratoga is like area code, like area, you will know about what the fuck happens at Saratoga because so many people have been posting things.
Yeah, I gotta ask Tony for the videos. I'm gonna try to.
Tony has like 3 of them.
I'm gonna ask Tony. He has some videos.
What the fuck am I watching?
Yeah, that was great. Okay, that's the only thing I wanted to mention. That's all the BSBS I have. Anyone has anything else that they want to mention?
I had just one quick thing I wanted to throw in. Over the weekend, well, not weekend, but, recently there was a mass shooting that was racially driven in Buffalo, New York. So, if you were affected or you know anyone affected, we send our condolences from the BatYard family, and we, wish you the best and recovery possible, and, just keep your hearts high and try to stay on a true path, because that was a very sad thing that happened, and I hope that things get better for everyone affected.
Amen.
Yeah. But I have a question. What I heard Tony brought something up with that on the weekend for us, Josh, but like I haven't heard anything else about it. Like what actually happened
to it? I haven't looked into it.
Like, I'm so lost because nobody at work talked about it. Nobody's talking about it.
Just from the very little bit that I got from a news alert, an 18-year-old went to, I believe it was a grocery store, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, and they killed 10 people, I believe it was, and injured 9 others. That doesn't sound right, but I believe those were the numbers. And it was, he did target African Americans that shopped at that particular grocery store. And I think he said like he just turned 18. I think just graduated high school. And someone had said before, like he had mentioned something about doing, a big harm and, just hurt to people and just something. It's, I know so very little, but that's really the only details that I know personally.
All right. It's kind of fucked.
Yeah. People are fucked. That's why we need George Reeves Superman in our lives.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
That would be a terrific segue, but we're not talking about that now. We are talking about the mechanical monsters of Superman 1941, officially debuted, I think, November in theaters. This is when theaters had a bunch of different shows. Like it was like an all-day event, and they had basically mini cartoons, mini movies to showcase before the grand event, the bigger movies. So
I kind of wish we still had that.
I do too.
Yeah, I do too. I would love
trailers.
I would love to see this on a big screen, like any of these. I would freaking cream my pants. But we'll talk about that in a little bit.
We can always rent a theater. We can always rent a theater, and we can just play a bunch of them.
Yeah. So these cartoons had the budget of about like $1 million, and this is back in 1941 money. So with inflation, that's very, very expensive for a 10-minute cartoon, especially. I mean, $1 million is probably expensive for a 10-minute cartoon today. So,
yes,
I don't know how much inflation would be for 1941. And just to give the synopsis, I'm going to give this to Jerry for the mechanical monsters.
All right. The episode opens up with someone who looks to be a robot man, and he is robbing a bank. And then he takes off like an airplane, flying away back to the secret hideout to the mastermind who's controlling him. And then very Wile E. Coyote Acme style, there's a man sitting at a switchboard, pushing the buttons and turning the dials, making the robot empty the contents of his safe box, I guess would be the best thing to call it. And then we see that he has a whole fleet of these mechanical monstrosities. And then we see that there is a jewelry expo coming with lots of priceless jewelry, gold, and other precious items. And the thief goes in, steals, quite a bit of that. And Lois Lane is there to do a report along with Clark Kent because it's a jewelry expo. Lois Lane gets mixed up and is abducted unknowingly. And then Clark Kent calls it in. And when he sees that Lois has been abducted, he goes to the phone booth, changes into Superman. A chase ensues, but the mechanical man shakes him off. But Superman is still hot on his trail, and he finds the mastermind, who then tries to put Lois in a cauldron. Is that a bucket? Yeah. I'm just calling that a bucket. A bucket of boiling magma. But he is not faster than Superman, and Superman saves the day. And returns all the stolen goods.
I can't express how much I love these cartoons. I really can't.
That's so great.
They're amazing.
I loved it. It reminded me of I feel like this is like Tom and Jerry, like something.
Yeah, we're discussing it.
This wild idea on how to finally catch Jerry, and then there's always one little hitch in the plan.
The thing is, like, that reminds me the most of like this was the Tom Jerry thing is when the robot's flying and it's like a plane and it kind of gave me like this one weird vibe of when Tom makes himself a corset like glider for himself, and you see him just gliding around, and when me and Jerry just joking around talking about how it's like rhyming, like what we can like wrap around with like Tom and Jerry stuff. That just came to my head. I'm like, that just makes me laugh because it kind of reminds me of like Tom a little bit gliding through. But it's like no, but everything's like completely serious without this whole episode. So, Twody, how you doing, buddy? Just know some.
Tony.
No, Twody.
Oh, I
The
think you said
bird.
Tony.
Not Tony. Yeah, Tony broke in your house.
I thought he
just know he just
commented.
came-
I'm like, I don't see anything from
No,
Tony.
nobody's commented yet
Oh.
on my page.
Yeah, no, this serial is, it's like the most adult like serials I've seen, at least in this like time frame, like back in the 1940s. These are like adventure serials, this is almost like a whole epic storyline told in 10 minutes, and you could see how redefined the artwork is. Like even in the beginning when you see Lois Lane, like that close up of Lois Lane and she's talking to Clark Kent, and like her facial expression, like every single frame is a hand drawing, and it's like it's so fluid. It looks like she's a real person talking, and like even like Clark Kent, like his expressions, and it's just like you
The
could
movements of Superman,
pause.
it's just like
It's so fluid. It's like
It's-
water. It's like crazy how
Yeah.
fluid the animation is.
And that was something I was gonna say. The animation and the color, I loved all of it. It was like watching a huge watercolor painting,
Yeah.
go from start to finish with there's no mess ups, there's no blotches. Everything is really seamless and just flows so well together. And they didn't waste any animation cells. Everything just was like
Not at all.
pop, 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 pop.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, this is so good. And then the sound effects, some of them, I was like, I didn't really care for it because I was like, yeah, I've heard the sound effect, 1,000 times from, Looney Tunes growing up. But it was still very nice to hear it again. And even with that, I was like, man, some of these sound effects I haven't heard in, years.
there's
And
a
it
lot of
just
sound
blew me
effects just
away.
dropped.
What sound effects are you exactly referring to? Are you like the sound design of the characters themselves, like
the sound effects of the characters, like when Superman does the whoosh takeoff that he does, and then the biplane where you have to wind up the motor on an old plane for the robot.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I never made that connection with like Looney Tunes sound effects. Now I gotta like rewatch it and try to listen for it. Like,
yeah, but
I just love
old Looney Tunes.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this is like this is the same era.
The ones we're not allowed to watch anymore properly.
Basically,
about being judged.
The camera movements in this is so fluid itself, like within the animation. It's crazy how they even achieved any of that because everything's all hand drawn, like no computers. Obviously, they use a technique called
everything about that.
Yeah, they use a technique called rotoscoping, which is like they take live action actors and trace over their movements. They would do this in like old Disney cartoons. They still use the rotoscope now for effects like the Incredible Hulk and a bunch of different stuff. Like every CG film you ever see they use the rotoscope. It's still in effect. And this studio, Fleischer Studios, they invented the rotoscope. They had the patent on it. So then Disney, these were the two top animation studios of the day. It was like Disney and Fleischer Studios. Like Fleischer did this. They did Betty Boop, Popeye, and those were like super big back in the day. And this is probably like the most serious, like the most realistic thing that like animation that was out there, especially for the time. But it's just crazy. Like even like when Superman comes out of the phone booth and then like he like looks up, and then the whole camera goes up with Superman, and you see like the vastness of the city and how big the skyscrapers are, and then you see like he's looking over the robot, who's basically turned into like a biplane at that point, like flying around.
Yeah.
Like Lois Lane is trapped inside the carrier with the jewels. And I think this is the first time it showcased Superman having X-ray vision in any of these cartoons. And just even like this is just like pure essence Superman. Like if you don't know anything about Superman, you show him this, you just get it. You get it instantly. You know everything you need to know about the character. Everything is like straightforward. Superman. It's just perfect. Everything, the timing, the pacing, and the whole story. Like you couldn't do anything like really better. I mean, there's a few like animation mistakes, but I think that kind of adds to the charm. Like I noticed like one little thing, but it doesn't even really matter.
Dare you? How dare you be picking that?
But like, it really doesn't affect it at all because it's so beautiful.
Speaking about details, like when the part when Superman gets like winged into those telephone poles, like telephone wires.
Yeah,
and it's not just like it's not just like him colliding. They give him smoke. You actually see him hit the wires, disconnecting wires, and like the electricity coming out of him, and then he falls to the freaking ground. And like I'm like,
yeah, he's struggling.
Okay, they spent time doing that, and like it's not like he didn't like recover from it like instantaneously. You see him get out of the freaking wires and gather himself and then get back to what he was doing. And so like nowadays cartoons like, I just got electrocuted, but I'm good to go.
Yeah,
he just goes.
Definitely struggles with the power lines, and he's like fighting against like all the coils that wrapped around his arms. He's like ripping it off like each limb. And this is like the first time I really thought about it. Like Lois Lane is in the biplane robot, and then like it has all the jewels. She's trying to get the story, so she just sneaks in the robot basically. And then the counterweight of her when the robot turns over, because that's what the inventor proceeded to do, was just shake off whatever interference that it had, was dealing with. He didn't know it was Superman on top of the robot, like trying to save Lois. And then like the robot spins around, the counterweight of Lois Lane, opened the hatch because like she was heavier than all the jewels. So all the jewels fly out, and then he's expecting jewels to be dumped into his little vat or, his vault or whatever it is. And Lois Lane comes out and he's like, "What did you do? What happened to the jewels?" And he's like, basically looks like he's gonna murder her, and he goes right at the camera. And it's like all the angles are like so perfect, and it like really encapsulates what emotions that they're trying to go for. Like, I don't know, I can't imagine how much planning went into each individual frame of these cartoons. I really can't.
Now, a frame that I thought was really well choreographed was when the villain pours the bucket of lava trying to, obviously kill Lois. But Superman, he spreads his cape, and you can see like it rolling off of him, and it still has the flow of the lava.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, that was, it's a small thing, to me. But I was like, I really appreciated it because that took a lot to do. Especially because it still had the fluidity of water.
No, I like the same thing. I like that like scene too, like because it's neat. And then like at the same time, like it gave me like that thing, like so Superman's like actually, well, at this time Superman's actually still strong enough to withstand high temperatures of lava. At this like because they haven't overpowered him by like okay. Like he's not like I would assume like he would like get like, oh, this is a little fucking toasty now, but no, he accepted that thing, including like what Jerry's saying, like the flow of it though, like it just pulled off. It didn't look like it just like settled on him and just hardened, and he just like shook it off like that and like just swung it backwards or something. I was like the same way. I was like appreciating like they just let it go as like a fluent like how it do in real life.
And like going with the him struggling with the power lines, like he's struggling with like this bombardment of like an army of robots. It's like a dozen of these strong robots that shoot fire and like are super, super powered. And they're all like pummeling Superman. The fists are going directly at the camera, and I love the POV shots.
Mhm.
And like you're really like, how the fuck is Superman gonna get out of this? And plus, there's the time tension of Lois Lane being lowered into the cauldron. So like there's the essence of the time tension, the tension of that, and like Superman's like is getting pummeled at the same time, and like you really like are worried that he might fail, but of course Superman saves the day. And I gotta say, like, the soundtrack to this is also amazing. Like, just like not even just the Superman motifs and the Superman theme, which is fucking excellent in its own right, but like the just the sounds that they use for the robots, like the booming, like brass that they use. It's like each like robot when they're ignited and come to life, like when they like all pop up like the army. It's like it's just this crescendo of like this just this threat and like coming over like to just threaten Superman. And you're like, holy shit.
Like, I enjoyed when they activated, because they all have their own little like slouched over postures they had.
Yeah, they had their own animation to them. Like,
right.
Or one guy might be slumped forward, another one might be kind of curved. Like they had their own personality, and I was like, that's so. It's not like it is now. Okay, everybody's sitting in a vat, and it's just hive mind, move and think is one.
Yeah, it was like neat how they just put that in play, and like I don't even think they were probably. I don't know if they were thinking like maybe someone would notice, or maybe this is like whatever fucking how it goes. Like no one's gonna really read into this and just like drew it that way. But like it's just neat. Like they just had the little fluid motion. They come up and they come out like you're saying, like a whole freaking army setup unit.
Yeah,
and they perform.
Like all awaken. And there's a lot of tension throughout this, and it's just such a like it's only 10 minutes long, and like they tell like this whole vast story within like such a short time frame, time period, and all the action is just so vivid and just so like lifelike. It's just everything you want to see Superman do, especially for the time to do. Like growing up with the radio show, and this is the same voice actors from the radio show, Bud Collyer and Joan Alexander, who did Lois Lane's voice. Like, it's the same actors. So, like, this is what, like, the kids of the time know. This is what Superman sounds like. We can't get some other guy. We have to get the voice of the radio show. And then, like, and you listen to the radio show, and you watch this, like this is exactly like how you imagine like Superman action being, like if you're just listening to the show itself, and it's like, okay, you could actually visibly see it on screen. I'm not saying I grew up with the radio show. I'm just saying like that generation. That's the character that they grew up with, and like how can you divert from that voice? And he's the first one to give like the two personas, like the high octave voice of Clark Kent, like mild meek, like, oh yeah, and then he like goes into that, he goes in that essence, like this looks like a job for Superman, like he gets into like it's like a totally different character, and like even like the subtle animations of like how they redefine like the characteristics of like Clark Kent, he's kind of like slouching, he's just like, oh whatever, and then Superman like, he freaking like expands,
he buffs up.
He does.
Yeah, exactly. He's like he drank Michael Jordan's secret stuff and Space Jam.
That's like kind of like funny, because like that reminds me of that little video we were watching. Josh, remember that little video I found on Instagram, and it's like him, and it's what's it? I forget. It's more of a newer show. As far as that, I forget what it was. It's like, and it's like he's Clark Kent's brainwashed. He doesn't know he's Superman. And
yeah. That's just
it kind of reminds. like that. I'm like that would work so perfectly in that a little bit in that universe at some points because he
Yeah,
doesn't know anything.
yeah,
Like he would just be like, I kind of want to see that
I
collab.
could see that. Yeah, I
I
know.
can only
You
kind of
almost
see
want
a
to go
collab
back
with
in
that one
time.
then.
Yeah,
But
it's so good.
oh
Yeah, and
jeez.
like while this was on, the radio show was, still going on. So like they would promote it in the radio show. Like, oh, make sure you see the live action, well, the live events in your local cinema of Superman, blah 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 blah. Like they would like promote it in their radio shows. And the radio show went on till like the late 40s. It went on for a while. They have like thousands of episodes of Superman like radio shows. It's
Jeez.
crazy. That's how popular it was. It went on for like 10 years. And like
Jesus
that radio
Christ.
show is like the reason kryptonite was invented. So the actor Bud Collyer could get a break, get a vacation, like the show is about Superman. How do we get him out of the show? Yeah, he's incapacitated because there's this radioactive rock. Yeah, it's kryptonite. Okay, yeah, that works. Okay. And they would just like make up so many things like from the radio show and they like implement it in this cartoon and like the whole intro, like able to leap tall buildings, like that's from the radio show. They don't have Jimmy Olsen in any of these cartoons, but like Jimmy Olsen was invented for the radio show, like for younger audiences, like kind of connect with. Oh yeah, I could be Superman's pal, or whatever. I don't have to be
I'm
Superman,
surprised
but
they
I could
wouldn't
be his
add him.
friend. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think just for
That's
the
cool.
short time frame, it just like for these cartoons, I think it just like it would just be
Which is
more.
enough.
Yeah, I think Lois
Which
Lane
is
is just
enough what
enough.
we got.
Yeah, I think you just need
Yeah.
Lois and like Perry White basically sending off to a story.
And I like how in these like even in these, including in our short, no, not a short, our main event that we're gonna be talking about.
yeah,
I like how they don't just make her just a like they don't make her like a super damsel in distress. She actually has something to her than just actually just being like in despair.
Oh yeah, yeah, I get what you
yeah.
mean.
And like
She always has a goal. She
and
has a goal. Like
during
she wants to get the story.
yeah, during this time
It's not like
period,
she's
you
just
wouldn't have
there.
like thought that though. Like during
No,
this time, you would never have thought that. And like these guys, these
100%.
shorts, like yeah, these
Oh,
guys
yeah.
were like they're in the future. They were just like fuck it, we're having fun with this shit.
I mean, even when they created Superman, like Lois Lane was this strong, independent woman. She was a working class lady. Like that was unheard of. Like for 1937, 38. Like
Especially
Lois
being a
Lane
strong,
is-
independent woman.
little bit.
yeah, 100%. Lois Lane is a very influential character. I think she
And
was
not only that,
inspiration for a lot of young women.
yeah, she also like commanded respect from male colleagues, and back then,
Mm-hmm.
if you did that, you were
Yeah, right.
The only way you could do that is if you were a business owner or you were a figurehead in a church in some kind of religious institution.
Right.
That wasn't happening in the workforce.
Especially. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Josh.
No, go ahead. Finish what you're saying.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, I especially liked how she did it when she was telling Clark, like, you always have some kind of excuse for something, basically calling him out on his BS. And I'm like, obviously we know he's Superman, but I'm like, at that time period, not only are you talking to a male colleague like that, but you're talking to somebody who's essentially your, I guess on a corporate sense back then, you're superior. And she didn't take any kind of shit from anybody.
Yeah, no, I never seen like Clark Kent as her superior, like even back then. Like they always seemed like they were equals, like they were rivals to get that story. Actually, Lois was more like thought that he was her rival to get like that story. Like, oh, I got to beat Clark Kent and one up him because he keeps getting these stories about Superman. I don't know how, but I gotta, that's why she like gets in the rough and tough, and like gets in these robots and fucking gets almost dumped in a vat of lava. So like that's why she kind of like pushes herself, because she's always like trying to get that one up on like Clark Kent, and they're
if he
they're
doesn't know
both
who's
the star
behind it all.
reporters. It's not like
Yeah.
Clark Kent is the better reporter. It's always like they're both the star reporters, and they're like in competition with each other. That's what I like about Lois Lane too. Like she has a goal on top of like, Superman is rescuing her. It's not like she's like just there just to be rescued. She's doing something on top of that layer. Like I feel like Mary Jane is just like a damsel and who's just kind of there. She's not really trying
She's
to
a Daphne.
do anything to pursue.
Always.
She's
Daphne.
not like trying to pursue anything. She's just I feel like even Daphne has more to do than Mary Jane.
Oh yeah, she's part of the
Mary Jane is just there to look hot. That's it.
Yeah, the look hot and then like just be the damsel. So that's why like when people give shit about Lois Lane, I don't really get it, because she has so many layers to her character. It's not like she's just there to be saved by Superman. Sometimes she actually helps out Superman and reveals some information that he wouldn't know otherwise.
True.
By being there. So I don't know. There's a lot that we could say about this show, but I think we kind of like went through all the basic overview. Do you guys have any last final things you guys want to discuss about the mechanical monsters?
I had one thing I just wanted to say about the villain. I like how he was a stereotypical villain. He had the little pencil douchebag mustache, the greased back hair, and the suit. I thought he was gonna tie Lois to some train tracks so she could get one over.
Yeah, I could totally see him doing that too. It'd be great.
I'm glad he did. I'm glad
he made the robot
lava.
Yeah, to switch it up a little bit. I loved like how he had his old like epic like vast layer that looked like this cost like millions of dollars to create.
Well, it was in a mountainside and everything.
He's in a mountain. Yeah, exactly.
It was in a mountain.
Cleared out the inside of a mountain. Yeah, it's crazy. Like if he was going to do the train track thing, if he was going to just be cliche and do the train track thing, it would have been kind of like a neat twist if he made the robots tie her up and stuff. That would have been kind of funny.
No, it'd be even funnier if they're trying to figure out how to tie a knot in the midst.
Yeah, they
stupid.
They're like, they just got these nubs.
Exactly. It would take now I have to think about it. It would take away from the show a little bit, but at the same time,
no, it definitely would. It definitely would.
It would just be neat, though. But like,
I'm glad they did what they did.
Yes, but the funny thing is like when we did the last weekend we went to con, I was over at Josh's, and Josh, because we're discussing of doing our own little voiceovers of like comics, like the comics and everything. And Josh showed me the first chapter that he wants us to look over and discuss. And there's a gentleman at the end of the chapter that looks just like the freaking villain. And guess what happens to that guy in that chapter? And then it happens in this fucking chapter, in this thing.
He gets put on the train track.
No, the Superman grabs him by his fucking leg and jumps away with his ass. Yeah, and Superman does the same thing with this motherfucker and jumps away with his ass. And I was mentioning this to Jerry. I'm like, how many times has Superman, when he leaps and he lands, accidentally smacked his face on the ground lightly and just keeps going like a scumbag?
Yeah, that's great. That was before Superman could fly. That's when he could just leap, That's where the whole leaping tall buildings in a single bound.
This is the time I like Superman.
Yeah, no,
this is the time I like him. And
I think if you're a fan of the character, of the character Superman, you got to know him from every era. You can't just go like, "Oh yeah, now Superman." I feel like to really understand the character, you really need to see him in every decade where he existed to really get the whole grasp of and the appreciation of what he is, to be honest. That's why I love Superman. Like he works in every decade. He works in every time period. And I feel like the more complicated you make the character and the more you overpower him, the less interesting he becomes. You know, the simpler the character, the simpler, you know, you make the powers, you know, I think the more interesting it becomes, the whole concept, you know,
Yeah,
because you
definitely.
get it right away. And
It's
I
like
think that's
dumb now, and I
why,
can't take him.
yeah.
I
Oh no, I
can't
hate it
take
too.
Superman.
And I
And
hate it
like
too. And I'm a big Superman fan. And I just hate what they're
I
trying to do,
remember,
like in the modern era. So
like I was like when I was growing up, I never could understand why you like Superman so much, and I'm just like he's just I couldn't do it. I don't know understand how you could
because
I could like him
I
so
grew up with
much.
I grew up with these I grew up with these cartoons, these 1940 cartoons. Like when I was growing up, like I seen almost every era of Superman. Like I would watch this, I would watch the 1978
Hmm.
Superman the movie, you know, I would watch the 90s cartoons, and like that was like you get a grasp of like each decade, and that's why I was so infatuated with the character. And I think that's really, I feel like that's how you really get appreciation for the character. Is like he's the
Yeah.
only one with a radio show. He's the only one who was in every piece of media ever created, like any character. You know, like I mean, I guess technically you could say Batman, but Batman was in Superman's radio show. It wasn't like Batman had his own radio show. He would just be a guest star on his radio show. So like Superman hit really every aspect of major media that's out there.
Hmm.
Yeah. And well, I guess I can say what I'm going to say for my final thoughts.
Go ahead.
All right, here's my final thoughts. So, definitely, since this is, I think this is like the second or third piece of Superman media you've given us as a whole now, and it, you know, I'm with Crispy. I'm not a big Superman fan. Don't get me wrong. I do respect him for everything he stands for. But I think over the years with, you know, just the creativeness that comics have evolved into, I feel like he's lost the sense of what made Superman so likable. And
100%
definitely,
agree.
and with seeing this mini-sode and, you know, obviously the feature film that we're going to get into shortly, I found not a new respect, but a deeper respect for Superman because of, you know, he doesn't have the fucking the laser beam eyes. He doesn't have the cyclone breath. He can't fly at fucking Mach 20 through space and everything. He's, you know, he's still within, you know, super abilities, but it's not anything just crazy.
He's a Superman. He is a Superman. That's all he is. He's not
he
fucking
could do everything.
Ultraman Man.
Yeah, he could do everything a man can do, but amplified. Like every man can jump. He could just jump that much farther. You know, every man like can see, but his vision is just heightened. You know, that's the basic concept of Superman. Every man can pick up, you know, some heavy objects, and he could just pick up that much more. You know, so that's like really what the concept is about. It's just like a man just heightened, you know, and like that's all it needs to be. And that's why I get so pissed off being like
there.
No, that's why I get so angry with what they're doing to Superman in like recent years. I mean, obviously there's some good comic books out there and media, don't get me wrong. It's just like I feel like what the mass majority see Superman is like what I don't dislike about the character. I dislike about whoever is in creative control of the character. If that makes
right now we got how much douchier can we make Superman? Like that's
why
but they do that for like a lot of the DC people now.
They
well, not even just DC,
like
it's comics in general now.
Yeah. But like it's Superman, he's supposed to be the most lighthearted one. He's supposed to be this and that. I get it. People go through hardships, but Superman's supposed to be like that guy that goes, yeah, that just happened to me, but there is something I can do better to get me to this outcome instead of me soaking
100%.
in
Yeah.
it. And they have
He's
made
always
too
looking
many
for the
soaking
brighter tomorrow.
Supermans.
He's always about the brighter tomorrow. You know, like he can make the world a better place. You know, like together we can make the world a better place. Batman, in essence, is let me just
That makes sense.
but like let's just kind of keep it level ground and keep it the same. I don't want it to get any worse, you know. And Superman's about hope and positivity and making the world a better place. While Batman's just trying to hold on. It's like, okay, this is good enough. Like, just fucking don't get any worse, you know.
He's a normal man trying to live on his gadgets, and Superman is
Right.
the man that can withstand things more than him. But
And I think
that's
Yeah.
a lot that's missing from the character too. They're always trying to hype that he's a god and he's this or whatever that. But that's not what makes this character interesting. The interesting thing is he has all these powers. He grew up on Earth. He grew up on a farm. He worked on a farm. Like that's what he knows. He's a human in every essence
he's
of the word.
Hercules.
Like he knows no, I wouldn't.
He's
Well, I wouldn't say that, but like he's Hercules in the Disney cartoon because the Disney cartoon just basically took Superman the movie and Rocky and combined it, and that's what Hercules is. But like Superman in essence is a human. He doesn't even know that he's an alien until he's like 18 years old. Like at that point of development, he's a man. You know, he has no idea about all this fucking wacky, weird shit that he's a part of. And I feel like every person feels like that in a way. Everyone feels like they're kind of alienated. They feel like they're a little different. You know, there's something that's not connecting with the vast majority of like human society. And that's why I find Superman so relatable when people say he's not relatable, but like he's a guy who grew up on a farm. He's a guy who, you know, is trying to figure out like his life, his powers, so you could like make it basically relatable with like puberty and just like figuring out who you are as a person, as a man. And it's just there's just so much that is so important about this character. But I could just go on and on and on about.
I know you can.
I'm also
I
going
know you can.
a super solid 8. I would recommend this to anybody.
I give this a 9. I always love these things. I really love these little shorts. But like,
yeah, you should should definitely watch more. These are great.
But these are like
this was great. I loved this. I like, you know, the old style of cartoons, and this was like I haven't done that in a little while. I have went back recently watched. I went back and rewatched some old Pink Panther cartoons, but it's been a while since I watched the old superhero cartoons.
Those are fun. Pink Panther. But but this is a whole episode of Superman, so this is when Josh gets to just be able to be unleashed of Superman. So it's okay, Josh.
Right.
He's in the face.
We haven't talked about Superman in a while, so I felt like we had to bring it back to the roots.
No, I 100% agree, but I'm just saying like I can go on and on. I'm like, dude, this is a whole episode of Superman, so you cannot stop talking about Superman for this whole podcast.
Right. So, Jared, you haven't seen any of these before, any of these old 1940s shorts. So these are public domain. So like the public owns these cartoons. Like DC doesn't get any residuals from this short. Like anyone could watch this and release this. I think DC still has the rights to the merchandising of this, but like the shorts itself is a public domain. It's very convoluted and very confusing.
Have you had the rights? I have the rights of merchandising.
I think it's because the trademark. I think it's the trademark of Superman. Technically, is still owned by DC. I should have mentioned this on the BSBS segment, but there is a law trying to be passed by Congress, trying to state that like these old cartoons like Mickey Mouse and Steamboat Willie and I guess Superman and like they're trying to shorten the clause of the public domain rule. So like right now it's in effect that it could possibly happen that after 50 years it becomes public domain. Right now it's like fucking the lifespan of the creator plus 50 years. And right now they're trying to fight for just 50 years. Mickey
that's
Mouse,
a really long time.
Yeah, 100%. They just keep fucking the public. That's and it's so hypocritical from Disney because Disney got famous and rich from using public domain stories, and now they're trying to withhold that from the public themselves. So that's why I really have a bad taste of Disney. I like Disney movies, but like just the company itself
The
and what they're
corporation.
doing is very,
Yeah.
very, very shady.
Behind it.
So
Fucking
technically, if it was
awesome.
in effect like what it originally was, I think it was like 25 years, like the public domain. Like Superman, Batman, every character basically you like or love, it would have been in public domain. And anyone could write about it. Like Sherlock Holmes, anyone could write about that. He's in the public domain. Like characters like that are like timeless. And like all these
Don't fuck
classical...
with the Robert Downey Jr. one.
What?
Because Warner Brothers will kick your ass. No, if it's
no, I mean,
like
I'm just saying the character itself is public domain. Like we could make a fucking Sherlock Holmes movie and we don't have to pay Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
It's in the public.
Yeah.
But just don't touch the Robert Downey Jr. one. Don't try making one with it. Never mind.
Matt, we all know you want to touch Robert Downey Jr., but we're not going to do that.
I just want a third Sherlock Holmes movie. That's all I want. It's a third one. They leave us on a cliffhanger. It's been too many years. Fuck you.
I do agree with Matt. I need a third one because that second one.
I need a fucking third one.
That'll be cool. Yeah.
So Matt,
what?
How do you feel about the mini-sode?
Oh, I already said I give it a 9 because I enjoy these fucking things. These are awesome.
I didn't hear you.
I give this
That's
a
cool.
10. I would give this like a fucking Infinity and Beyond if I could. And
right,
the quality of these cartoons are the same quality of like
just immaculate
of a high budget.
If you say there's an issue with this fucking quality of these videos, you're watching the wrong video on YouTube. Go find a better one.
You definitely.
Or your
internet
shit.
Definitely watch 4K if you can. I used to watch these on shitty VHS videos like at home. So like to see it in 4K, it makes it just that much more impressive. This is the same quality as like Disney movies like back in the day. Like Snow White, and the Seven Dwarves, like all that stuff. Like this is the same quality. 100% with the animation. So, I guess we all gave our ratings for the mechanical monsters. I definitely will recommend more in the future. There's a few Matt and I have seen. I feel like Jerry has to see the other ones.
Give him Skippy.
But you can watch these on YouTube. They're free. You could just fucking find them. So, like, if you're interested in what we're talking about, just look it up. There's 17 of them.
Domain.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So we're going to move on to the main event, which is Superman and the Mole Men, 1951, starring George Reeves and Phyllis Coates as Lois Lane. The first full-length feature film of Superman, released November 23rd, 1951. The budget, I guess, was $275,000, which is, I mean, I guess that sounds kind of like a decent budget for 1951, but it's like, no, you could kind of tell like the budget is very cheap, just by watching the movie.
A nice budget.
It was a good budget. It didn't.
I mean, you can tell it's not.
It's not like
definitely like a cheaper movie.
Yeah.
It's a cheap. It's definitely
like
a
a
cheaper
TV movie where you want it to be.
Yeah, well, but this was released in theaters. It definitely was a box office success. When it came out. I guess it was shot in 12 days. This movie, so like this was a speed rush production. and it opened the
Yo.
medium for Superman and television. So like first this movie was released in theaters, and then they hear, oh, we
Oh,
need
so this is
shows
the
for
beginning.
the new This is the first thing. This is the first
This
George
is the
Reeves
beginning.
Superman anything. So
Motherfucker.
it started out as a movie, and then they opened up to this George Reeves Superman show that was
Okay.
debuted on cable access, I guess. So
Makes
Matt,
sense. Got it.
can you discuss Superman and the Mole Men?
So okay, so Superman the Mole Man, it takes place in this little um in this little town that actually has an oil company that set the record of the deepest oil drill, like drilled hole for oil that goes down 6 miles deep into the earth. And while that's happening, the what's it called, the finds out the company flips over. Clark and Lois are supposed to do a report on this successful and incredible record breaking company. And then once they get there, the company is now going to foreclosure and not continuing onward. But the company, the owners are really generous and state, yes, you can do a report on us closing and what's going on with the situation. And we're housed you in our hotels that we have here. And in the midst of everything, there has been sightings of these little men coming out of nowhere and scaring the people without really harming the people, but they're scaring the public and nobody knows where they're coming from, but they're just little tiny men with giant, receding hairlines. And,
Yeah, they have
um,
big foreheads.
yeah, they have,
Yeah,
yes,
they're like Conehead.
receding.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can go there with that, but like, and once they're actually coming out of the oil hole, like this the 6 mile oil hole, like drill hole that they made that they're climbing out of, that and they just keep coming out, and like it finds out they scared a child and the mother too much, like too well, and now the whole town is going out and just got a militia and went after the little men. And Superman, Clark decides to say this is time for Superman, decides to help out and stop this because he knows that this is not going to be a good situation, and these creatures, like creatures, men, whatever they are at the moment, they don't know about, aren't really doing. They don't know that much information, so they're not doing that much harm on the other than scaring. And no one knows technically if they're nuclear or just standard people, and that's one thing they are scared of too about them. And so Superman's trying his best to keep the crowds on a hush and try to calm down. Meanwhile, the crowds accidentally shoot on one of them, and Superman rushes him to the hospital. Meanwhile, they're still hunting one down, and trap him into a old abandoned structure and burn down the building. Meanwhile, he's smart enough to dig his way out of the structure and flee more. And let's just say the sheriff is not really a thing. He's more of a coward than a hero. And every time, no one wants to listen to Superman and embrace what he wants to state, so they keep shooting Superman and putting more people in
Yeah.
harm. And Superman is at one moment ends up getting into a brawl with everybody at the hospital of where I was shooting. No, not that. They're not the hospital. I think I think it's a hospital. I just think it's at the hospital because Clark. Yes, they're at the hospital,
Yes, the hospital.
and
Yeah.
they end up doing a brawl in front of the hospital because they're trying to save one of the little men. And at the end of the episode, within the last few minutes, the little men come out with this little gun and start shooting the like radioactive waves or some kind of pulse waves with this gun at the main gentleman that starts to riot in the militia. And they end up rescuing and getting everybody back, all the little people back to their home, and at the end they blow up the hole that takes them from their underground world to the surface. and it literally just looks like an oil rig just exploding. So that's a little neat tidbit, and that's how basically it ends. But you can just see the terror within the faces of the little people because they're just getting chased by these men with guns and dogs that are ready to freaking murder them. And it's just, what the fuck?
Especially the second one, who's like running away the whole time. Like he just looks so pathetic. His
he
face
doesn't know what to do.
Just
Well,
like,
he just
so mean.
he just looks. And the thing is, like, they don't give him anything. It's like they're going on reconnaissance, and like they're just getting information of like what's up here. That's literally it. They're just trying to observe and see what's up top, and like knowing us stupid land above ground people, like, what the fuck are you? You don't come out of the ground like that.
Yeah.
You are fucking evil shits, and we gotta kill you for some reason. And not understand. I actually hated some of the terms that they were using throughout the whole thing
terms?
for these.
Wait, what? Like
just
what?
like we got like we had to. We had to like out. It was like certain things like they're talking about after killing them. They had to like hang them up and shit. I was like getting like a little annoyed with like them talking about how they're gonna kill them and then pose them outside of town. I'm like showing them off, and
It's
I'm like
a whole mob.
I really don't. I don't like this. I really don't like this at all.
I really wanted them to kill the one dude. I was like,
I was hoping. I was so hoping. But it's Superman. They're not going to do it.
I think.
Benson.
I hated him so much. Benson, yeah. I thought he was dead. Like I thought he became radioactive and he's fucked. You know. I mean, they did hit him a couple times.
Microwave him to death.
Yeah, I was like,
and then Superman comes in and he says it's he's like, Benson says, "Oh, you saved my life," and it's like, "Oh, it's much more than you deserve," you know. Like even Superman's like, "Yeah, you should have fucking died," you know.
Yeah,
I was like, George Reeves, just let this fucking God, like this. I enjoyed this movie a lot. It's been a long time since I've seen a George Reeves Superman, so I was like, "Oh yeah, this is cool." But I was like, George Reeves, move out of the fucking way and let these mole dudes do what they came here to do and assassinate the fucking hillbilly. Yeah. Like, and the whole time, Superman and Clark Kent are telling them like they're not doing anything wrong. They're just like, they're like a little kid when you put them in a new house. They're just, oh, what's this? What's that? Who's that over there across the street? You know, they're just exploring around.
Yeah,
like,
they're just
look funny,
gathering
but
stuff.
Yeah,
they didn't have fucking gun holding people up saying, "Give me your money."
Tell me all your information.
The one time they did look threatening, you know, like during the daytime they look fine. They kind of look cute, you know. You kind of want to give them a hug, but like, during like the night scene, whatever. They're like cuddly looking.
You're so adorable. Just pick them up and just.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what Superman does throughout the whole, the whole movie. He just keeps picking them up. He's like,
he's saving them.
Yeah, he is
saving them. He's doing his job.
Yeah, but he's saying that too. You know, that's in his head. Anyway,
you're so adorable. He's carrying them away. You're adorable. Your name's Roger now, and we're
anyway. The one time where they did look threatening and did look fucking creepy was like when they're looking through the window of that little girl's room, and that little girl is like so accepting and so like caring and very tolerant, you know, which is like the theme of the movie. You know, it's like tolerance. You know, very, and you know, which is a great theme for kids to learn, especially for 1951, which was like a very paranoid political day and age. You know, like height of McCarthyism and a whole bunch of other fucking bullshit. Anyway, if I was that little girl, if I was a fucking kid, I see these three fucking mole people looking through my window, it's black, dead of night, I'd be fucking shitting my pants. I'd be screaming my ass off. I would not
go
like,
I'm saying. I'm like, this kid is braver than me. The first thing I'm doing, I'm fucking breaking a lamp. And I'm like,
man.
back away.
Like, Like now, too, I would fucking freak out if there's like 3 little people, mole people looking in my window. At this time of night,
Oh,
like
yeah.
I would be fucking scared. There's like, but
Yeah.
that girl, I mean,
Oh,
the whole
God.
lesson of it is like the girl was innocent and she was very accepting when all the adults are, not so much. So I think
No, the
if
adults are
she did
dicks.
react that way, it would have like taken away from the lesson of the movie. So I understand why they didn't do that, but realistically, kid would fucking freak out. Like kid would not like that.
If I was that kid, I would start hurling blocks, books, that fucking ball she had. It looked like it was a lead ball. Just chuck one of them in the head. Jesus.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh God.
And I feel like
Ah.
Superman had like more of a understanding with these creatures. He's an alien from another planet, so he knows how it feels to be different from being from a different world. So like I feel like that's where he has a lot of connection with these creatures themselves.
I've
and
seen
that's
these
why-
kind of people.
That's a big
before. Or come with me.
yeah.
little
That's a
one.
big part of why he's trying to protect them. I mean, either way, like Superman would try to protect anyone or anything, but I think he just feels that sense of connection towards these people because they're from basically a different world in their own right.
Yeah.
They're from underground.
And I like how hands off he was with them. He was like, let's just kind of leave them alone and see what they do. Because who knows? They could have started bringing up fucking gold and shit that's useless to them. And just been like,
bring up the oil that they're looking for. Yeah.
Establish some kind of trade relations.
The thing is, like, I kind of was like trying to figure out, like these guys are mole people. Like, how much like visibility do they have during the day? Because things that live in like the complete darkness.
I don't think
I'm just going the dark vision.
Well, they did produce fluorescent energy, so maybe they are used to the light underground. Maybe that energy is what lights up their city,
And they do produce it naturally, so maybe they just kind of, pat their clothes and like, okay, it's light time.
So we learn at the end of the film
light,
that we learn at the end of the film that it's like a lighting phosphorus, like a illuminating phosphorus. They're not actually radioactive. It was just like a concern that Superman in the town had.
It's more of a front.
They were just completely
they're glow sticks.
Harmless. Yeah, they're basically little glow stick people.
Just don't snap them on your knee. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, don't crack
fireflies.
Yeah. I think Phyllis Coates, who plays Lois Lane, did a good job too. Like, I don't think anyone was really overacting either.
As Lois Lane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she was really good. She was excellent.
I like how it was like.
Go ahead, Crispy.
No, you go.
I was just gonna say, like, my favorite scene is when the fucking dickhead that's leading the mob is like, tell that woman, get that woman out of here. This is a man's place, and she's like, I can, she's very upfront with him and puts her foot down, like, I can move on my own, and I choose to stand right here. And then he tries to move her out of the way, and she starts slapping him and shit, and just hustling him off. And I'm like, yes.
That's what
she's standing up for herself and the people in the mole people.
Mm-hmm.
And when the two goons have her hold up, she's like, just kind of, jab
broke
him in
through
the
fucking
and just kind of moseys on off. I'm like,
she does get a whack. She gets a whack at one of them before they push her out of the way. But yeah, you're right, Matt. Like Superman pushes her out of the way before she gets shot, basically. Like she's trying to stand.
No, someone almost shot her. I'm like, what the fuck's wrong with this? Like, unless someone shot Superman and a ricochet off. And then
that's
he's
what
just
I
like,
thought.
And I'm like, okay. Yeah. And so he's like, if you keep doing this, someone else is going to get hurt. Like, I don't want this happening. And he just tells Lois, like, you better get in the house now. Like, I don't care. You're cool, but you don't want to die, right? just
and he basically was like, he told her, I appreciate your courage, but, this situation's about to get violent. And then he started taking their fucking guns and bending them and was like, come on, get out of here. And gives one dude an uppercut.
Suplexless, throwing people.
Yeah. He's just like picking up people and throwing them around.
It was just like wrestling. Just got turned on.
Basically. They don't
great.
really use that many effects in this movie. Like even Superman flying around, they like show that one time. Like and he became a cartoon.
Yeah.
And like he saves the mole person who's about to fall into the water supply because he doesn't know if they're radioactive, and plus, he gets shot. But like I thought it was I love that shot because I thought it was pretty fucking funny at the same time because like
it was
like Superman
looking.
could be Superman becomes a cartoon, and then the mole person becomes a dummy, and then he like picks him up and flies away. But that's what I love about this old shit, like these old Superman like films and like shorts. They're all made by like a shoestring budget, and it's just like what they could get away with at the time. And like
I'm not gonna lie, this video is really pretty good written because he did a decent job getting to the point and everything.
Yeah,
and they made me hate the villain. They made me hate the villain, and they got a good person to cast the villain, and I fucking hated him so much. He made me skeeve. And they gave him too much fucking. The one thing I have a problem with, but he's the fucking villain. They gave him too much fucking power, and that he had the right when the sheriff had the balls.
He did.
He's a fucking mob mentality.
When the sheriff actually got the balls to actually confront him, he just punched him right in the face and says, "What do you want from me?" And then the sheriff gets fucked off.
I would have fucking took out my pistol and pistol whipped him. I'm like, you're under arrest. No. Clock him or something. He fucking gave you a left hook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just like whack. This. They gave him super overpowered evil mode in this fucking this movie, and I'm just like, okay, cool, whatever. Fuck it. He's the evil guy. Just see what happens.
He's evil.
And then he's the evil guy. Fuck it. Like then the freaking mole men are just like. Get their gun out, and I'm like, we're getting the revenge.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they brought out their fucking spray gun and was like, pew 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 pew.
Right. Yeah.
Microwave him to death. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. He starts begging for his life like a fucking chump. He's like, I'm so sorry. Please don't kill me.
And
I want to live. They're just like, pew 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 pew.
And the funny thing is, like,
put the gun away. He's not gonna hurt you. I promise.
Yeah.
Just go back home. I like how Superman was just basically a peacekeeper.
Mm-hmm.
He was trying to diffuse the whole situation, which wasn't even a big deal. Like, they were funny looking people, but I mean, the worst they could really do is just kind of scare you. It's obvious they were kind of
light things up.
Timid. Yeah,
they
maybe dig you a hole. I don't know.
They were just like fucking alchemy.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they infiltrated their home, so like that was the whole point of this.
I get.
Story.
Yeah,
and Superman even said like you affected their home, and they're just trying to make sense of this, and basically they deserve to live as much as you do, And like I just love that stance that he has throughout the whole film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't waver.
Okay. What about this? Okay. Let's go. I'm going a little gruesome here, but let's just go in this direction here, though. What if that drill happens?
What?
So the drill's going down. So it's going down to like the 6 Mile area, and the drill accidentally opens a cavern and just goes and lands on like people.
And they all go in.
And then
I know.
Like, what the fuck is this?
It makes me. Yeah, it makes me more curious. It makes me curious to see like their world.
Yeah, I was hoping we'd actually get like a snapshot, like, coming up. You see him kind of just because it's obvious that they, don't communicate with sound. They just use, body motions. Because you just see them kind of pointing, and they're just like,
maybe telepathic.
And then there's like, they're kind of like fucking, oh God, it's gonna hit me later. But I'm thinking of something from Star Wars that can't talk, and it just uses body language to communicate.
Jawas.
That's it. Fucking Jawas.
But they do Eugenie noises.
Yeah, they have somewhat of a language, right?
But yeah, we get what you
it's
mean.
like the
though.
same principle. Like they just point around and say, you know,
Yeah, they're like
DC.
bees, you know, they
Blah,
just
blah.
dance.
DC, we need the mole men to come back. We need to know what's up.
That'd be great.
I need to know.
I would be
Like,
down
I need
for
to
that.
know. I want to see like it's a one shot. Do a one shot. The Revenge of the Moles or something, and
I
just
would be down
like,
for that.
and then you learn more about the civilization, and like they bring back like, let's say it picks up from this. They do the same thing. George Reeves Superman setup, and like maybe like give it a little bit of twist. Is a couple years later. They bring it, but it picks up like they're carrying down the one that got shot. And they're like, what happened to him? In their little telepathic or hand gesture way. And he's like, up there, shot him, got shot, blah. And they're like, we're going to war. And they just gathered their materials and got ready in like this war, like prepared. And then they're going up and like trying to do things. Or like do a special team that goes up there to figure out who shot him. And like that'd be like the little like volume we get, like not even that long. It'd be like maybe 50 pages. Let's give it that, and something neat, and then we just give us some more information.
Were the mole people children actors, or were they just very short adults?
I think they were little people. I'm pretty sure.
I want to say I feel like it was a mix, but yeah.
Because some of them were like, okay, I could kind of tell that's obviously a little person. Mm-hmm. And then others, I was like, okay, just like that children. One could kind of pass off as like a child. Or,
maybe the one
going through puberty.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. Like the main one, like not the main one, but the one I guess who you see the most screen time with, like the most sympathetic one, does kind of have a childlike face. So that one might be a kid. But I think
because
there's certain parts when like they have like the same like they have the portions of the the person look more childish proportions than actually like a little person's proportions.
Mm-hmm.
That we have.
Because I was watching this, I was like, I could tell one of them was obviously a child from the facial feature and the size of the hands.
Yeah.
And then when the other one came up with the gun, I'm like, that's obviously a little person.
That one's yes.
Yeah, maybe you're right, because the main one that they showed the most was the most sympathetic, and he looked like a little baby, so you might be right with that. Now that you're saying it, now that I'm thinking of it. That one just looks so sad the whole time. He has like this face, and he's like, I just wanted to give him a hug.
Oh God! There's the point where when they're actually, it's right before the one gets shot, and like they have the light, and I love how they have the spotlight just going back and forth. And when they get caught in it, they both just jump to the ground and get flat to the ground if they can. And they're like, "Oh, we lost them." And just ran away. Then they get back up and they're like, "Oh, there they are! They're still up there! Shoot!" And I was like, "What the fuck is this?"
That part made me laugh a lot because I'm like, okay, there's no way you can miss something that big of a cranium.
They're pale skinned and they're wearing a black unitard like outfit style.
Small.
So if you hit them with a light, they're small. They're half the size of a Superman. It's fine. One's at chest height.
No, he's not.
No, he's not. And they don't explain the distance like 100% between the bridge and where they are, technically. So
I know one scene I really want to get into because this is the one that struck the biggest chord with me. Kind of like how Crispy was saying, like, "Oh, we're gonna get those little freaks and hang them up and stuff." It was when they were chasing down the other mole person that escaped after his friend had gotten shot, or maybe family member. We don't know, what their, population is like. And, they chased him, they were hunting him down. The little prospector dude saw him and he was, he thought he was hallucinating and he just ran off. And you see him just drink from the prospector's water. And he's like, he thought he caught a break. And then he's like, fuck, these dogs are still after me. These guys are still after me. And they chase him to the shed. And they start burning it down. I was just like, it really started making me think about this is just like fucking Mississippi burning. Because this little mole dude is completely innocent. And here these guys are just, they weren't looking to cause trouble, but they were looking for him causing trouble. Because, they've got everybody in this big frenzy and, manic state of just anxiety and stress. And they're like, you know what? We're going to, at that point, they were just like, we're going to just fucking smoke this little bastard out. And then the one dude, when, the mole guy was trying to escape through the window, he told him, watch the window. I think he's going to try to jump through there. And he just fucking keeps shooting with his pea shooter. And I'm like, what? Why? And then, Superman and the other, people who are on Superman's side were telling him, like, this creature has just as much a right to live as you do. And then the doctor who removed the bullet said, on the inside, they're the exact same as us. Same rib cage, same set of lungs, heart. Right. The only thing different is just, the size of that old noggin. And I was just like, it didn't make me feel like they were just downright, evil people. But they had somebody who took advantage of the fear that was going around and used it to cause evil things.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And I was just like, for a minute, I was like, oh, is he really going to die? Because I was, things were looking kind of gruesome, especially toward the end when the little shack got more up in flames. But, luckily he got away through that loose floorboard. But I was like, man, this is some shit. If I was him, I would tell him, bring the fucking, I guess what would be their version of the National Guard, and we're just going to start off in these chumps.
I like how
Engine of Moles. The volume 1. Like, one shot.
Well, what were you going to say, Josh?
Oh, well, I didn't want to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No. No, I was just going to say, like, it, just scenes like that. It's not hard for me to watch, but it always makes me think, man, would something like that, still be happening in a random backwater part of, the States where nobody knows any better. And, the people who live there are the people who live there. And if you come in, everybody's looking at you with the side eye, like, who are you? What are you doing here? And why are you trying to, belong here?
It's definitely a direct allegory for all that stuff, just like intolerance itself. And that's why I feel like even like back in the day, like Superman always stood for the benefit of the meek and the meager, and just like, he always did the right thing in any decade, which is just amazing. Like, it's like he always was that pure, especially like the thought process of just America at that point. So it's just like, it just amazes me, like how like Superman was always good. When the rest of the country really wasn't like that. And I liked how Superman basically directly said to Benson and his whole, crew, the whole mob, that like, you stop acting like Nazi soldiers, like you're acting like the All Reich. And, obviously that would hit pretty hard because it was 1951, it's not like the war just ended like 6 years ago, like that's pretty fresh in everyone's minds.
Yeah. Because when he said that, I was like, man, you know what? This is, it took me back to when we just watched Godzilla. I was like, oh, this is, they're still, actively talking about this and keeping, intolerance, hatred, and bigotry fresh in people's mind and showing them like, hey, remember what happened when a bigot got too much power and he basically just went around and just slaughtering people he didn't like?
Right.
Yeah, don't forget what we had to do to him and the people that helped him along the way. Do you want to do that again? Because, I'm like how, oh God, I can't remember the guy who brought Lois and Clark, to the town, but he basically was telling the sheriff,
the
like,
chauffeur
I
dude?
remember.
yeah, and he was basically telling him, like, hey, if you bring in the state troops and everything, this is going to cause a much bigger scene. And it didn't click at the time. I'm like, what is he talking about? It's just two little dudes. But I'm like, oh, they're probably going to capture them, experiment on them, and dissect them and kill them, perform all kind of biopsies and shit. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's gonna, they're gonna try to harvest whatever resources they can from them.
They're basically gonna do the experiment 10 times worse than what the doctor wanted to do. Is the doctor, he just wanted to have him just be in his office and be like, all right, can you do this for me? Like, wave your hand. Can you even talk to me? Can you cough? Can I take an X-ray of you, or some kind of certain little tests, not huge tests. Can I draw maybe a little bit of your blood? Yeah. Can I do this and just see what you get out of it? I have respect for that doctor too, because that man said I need to save him. That's my freaking job. Josh just finally joined the fucking broadcast and just told me. But you're the host just joined the podcast. Oh, whatever. Okay. It's fucking funny. But so he's like, I gotta save that man. That's what I did. Went to school for. I went to school to help people. I'm gonna help that person right there. But he's like, everyone's like, oh, there's radioactive. I need to do it. And then the lead lining for X-rays. I'm just gonna wear that while I'm doing this shit. Fuck it. And the nurse is like, I'm not gonna help you. I'm not risking radioactive poisoning and all that junk. And so Clark is just like, I'm your man, and just walks in there with him.
And honestly, the doctor was the bravest person because he, obviously the old dude was the head of, the facility, and he told him, yeah, I don't care what you say, I'm still going to do it. And he stuck to the Hippocratic oath of, I will do no harm and, I'll save a life, which he did. He was like, because obviously, the mole man wasn't a human, but he was still, humanoid. And, obviously, it kind of blurred the lines of like, oh, what does it really mean to be a human and stuff? But I was still like, he was, he wanted to save the creature, even though the mole man, even though he was afraid, like, oh, well, I don't know if it's going to kill me with radiation, but, I'd rather sleep, I'd rather die knowing I saved a defenseless creature, defenseless, quote unquote, than knowing I sent it to its death to just bleed out and be in agony.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I wanted to mention, this is basically the last thing I have to say. Just George Reeves, Superman. He just seems like the Superman if Superman was your dad. This is that.
Yeah.
Superman, he's a little older, but he looks great. He has that classic look. His jaw line and his face is very defined. It just has that interesting characteristic look. It's just very class act. And he was a classically trained actor. He was in Gone with the Wind and a lot of decent big budget movies. And I wanted to say Phyllis Coates. Her acting, I think her acting was really well defined, especially just for the time and what kind of movie they're in. I think all the acting was pretty well. I think Phyllis Coates and George Reeves were obviously the strongest actors out of the whole film. And Phyllis Coates, when she sees the mole men in the window and she has that visceral scream, that's I don't know, that scream really sticks in my brain. It's just something that that really resonated.
Yeah, because to me, it was, it's not the same caliber, but it's one of those like moments you never forget. Her scream when she
Yeah.
first saw the mole men was like watching the shower scene in American Psycho. I was like, oh shit, what the fuck is going on here? I
Yeah.
thought they were
Oh,
finna, try to kidnap her or, maybe, jump at her or something. Obviously
yeah.
they didn't do any of that, but I was like, it was the power that she put into the screen.
100%. Yeah, it was very visceral and like realistic, very, very, very grounded. Shit, like that was very good. Like I want to use that, just like her scream and something. I don't know. Like it's like one of those sounds that like sticks with you.
Oh God. Hmm.
I have a few more things I wanted to get into and say. One thing that definitely was the most, well, yeah, this was the most heartwarming. It was the innocent scene again when the little girl was
Mm.
playing with the mole men. And she's asking them like, you guys don't want to play with my toys, you don't want to play with my box. Well, how about we just, play catch? And she just starts, rolling. They start rolling the ball back and forth, and then the whatever the fuck they have going on, I'm just say their sweat got on the ball and it started glowing. And she was like,
Yeah.
what's going on? And she just said, like, are you guys magic? And I was like, I haven't really, I don't honestly even know the last movie, like currently, that I've ever watched that, gave me the same, feeling when that little girl
Mm.
said that, because she just saw these two mole men as, unusual people. She didn't treat them any different, any worse. She was just like, do you want to play? Like, like all kids.
Yeah.
And then another scene that I also did enjoy quite a bit was when the mole men came back up with the reinforcements and the gun, and they ran into Superman. And we did talk about this, but it was like, they were communicating with him through, just their motion and dance. And he was saying the creatures talk, through motions. And so they know I'm not here to hurt them. And even when that fucking dickhead Vincent, whatever his name is, comes around the corner because that other asshole is like,
Vincent.
hey,
Yeah.
there's 3 more of them and they got a gun by the hospital. And he's like, this is my time to shine, boys. I'm going to bag them and tag them. And then they fucking
God.
press him against the wall with that microwave gun. And he's like, please. And Superman's just like, please stop. He's not going to hurt you. I promise. Just
Yeah.
take your
Yeah.
comrade, go back where you came from, and I'll make sure they don't bother you ever again. And, obviously, they still kept shooting Superman because, now they're scared. They've been conditioned to fear the people on the top side. And then, after, Superman can, it does take him a minute to convince them. It's not like, okay, these words, I have made it stop. It's like, no, they keep going for, I think, like maybe a minute or two or so.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're just like, okay, he means us no harm. Let's just stop and go on. And even at the very end, I think what really spoke the most to me personally was when, they go back down the hatch, Superman closes it, and then you see the hatch door, light up from the photon gun. And then he says, this is their way of saying, we'll stay down here in our lives and
Right.
you stay up here with yours. And that really just, it didn't strike a nerve, but it touched a chord that I've never thought of, especially, as civilization progresses, with all the talk of, is there life beyond the stars? What lies, under 10,000 leagues and the parts of the ocean that we can't get to, who's to say that one day we don't encounter, something like that, and we do this exact same thing, and we essentially start. Now, I'm not going to say a war with, other beings who have been coexisting with us, but we start mistreating other, obviously mistreating other beings that we don't understand.
Um,
That's why we need Superman as the middleman because he's the alien.
We need to bring back George Reeves so he can be the mediator.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh my god. But I want to bring up this though. I like with these older Superman, even like when even like I think it was like in the radio show too. And I love how like he gets himself almost caught doing things
Oh
like
yeah,
with his
Yeah, I noticed
abilities.
that. He was
And
like,
that's what's
he's
fun.
like, oh, they're coming around the corner soon. And like, how? Like, Clark,
yeah.
how do you know
How do you
that?
see
And
that?
they're
Yeah.
showing up. He sees them or hears them, whatever one he's choosing.
Yeah.
He's like, he knows. And I'm like,
yeah.
son of a bitch. Like,
And then
He
he
does that all the
fucking says,
time.
like, you know,
Yeah.
Superman brought the
yeah, he almost,
Yeah.
he dropped that too. Yeah.
That's yeah.
Yeah, I
He
definitely like how
love
they
it.
that in
I
the radio.
love
put that
that.
lightheartedness from the radio show over because I was like,
100%.
okay, this is giving
And I'm
me
just-
a visual to what I would hear from the radio show, like
Right.
word for word. Because this was basically like it was another radio show that had people really freaked out. I think like
The
attack.
Orson Welles thing.
It was
What?
like the thing with
War
the
of the
Martian
Worlds.
little
Or,
green men. Yeah, War of the Worlds.
oh.
what? Yeah, it was. What each these?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the Orson Welles thing. Yeah, where like people actually thought aliens were landing. Yeah.
Because this was,
I think it was.
I think it was War of the Worlds.
Yeah,
That's
I think it was. I think it was War of the Worlds or something like
Because
that.
I actually took time to go back and listen to it, and I'm like, you know, if I lived during this time period, I would think the same thing. Especially like when he got to the point of saying, "Oh my God, there's little green men walking about, ladies and gentlemen, the Earth has been invaded." But
Yeah, people thought that was real. Like they thought that was
Go
real.
ahead,
when
I'm
it was being
When you said
broadcast.
every time you see little green men, I keep thinking when Mars attacks for some reason.
yeah, see, that's what I was
I keep
thinking at
thinking.
first. But I'm
I
like,
thought you were gonna say that, and I'm like, what do you mean? They fucked everything up. Like,
Kazoo wouldn't do that to us. He's with Fred Flintstone.
what? Dude, he made fun of Fred every episode, calling him a dum dum. You stupid.
Dum dum. Hello, dum dum.
Yeah.
But
Oh my
was,
God.
Oh god.
this definitely took me, made me think like on the opposite side of the coin, like this is probably what it would be like if at any point back then we encountered, other sentient life. I'm not gonna call them extraterrestrial because obviously they've lived on the Earth probably longer than humans have been alive. Well, Homo sapiens have been alive.
Coexist. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
what to say? How I was telling you guys, like in the beginning, like how I fell asleep really bad today. Like I was trying to watch this after like I slightly woke up, and I was slightly falling asleep. But I was using it as a radio show at the same time when I was sleeping, until I went into a deeper sleep. But like I would say this: if they just said like we're gonna make this a radio show and cut away like any of like the dead air, it would have been perfect. It would have worked a lot too, because I was doing that myself. Because they cut away like most of some of the did.
Muttering noises.
Yeah, a little muddle. Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit of that.
Yeah, I can see that.
It was kind of like weird. I was like, yeah, okay, this works
Maybe
out.
that's
I
another
definitely
idea.
need to see the picture. Bum 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 bum.
Something else to think about.
Do you guys have any final thoughts or ratings on Superman?
I will let
and
Matt go first this time since I went first.
Okay.
Okay, so final thoughts. Like, I don't know. This is like I say all the time. I'm not a big Superman fan, and every single thing that Josh has been like trying to do is like trying. I always think he's trying to win me over with like trying to win me over with these like old videos so I could be more of a Superman fan over time. He's like trying to slowly convert me. And I do appreciate all these old classics and everything. Like, and I would never take the time to watch them because I'm like, I don't have the nerve to do it because I'm not a big fan. And I'm glad I watched this movie. And this movie, like, I wasn't expecting it to like do like certain things or like have certain things happen. And like this thing, I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed the characters and actors, and like how they even worked with the whole like setup, and like they gave me the characters made me think the things I wanted to think, like how they made me think of what they like feel what like how it should have felt, like how the characters designed, because I was annoyed and pissed off with the villain Lois Lane. I enjoy her. They kept her with for her presence. Clark Kent had his little Clark Kentness to it, and Superman is just like he's Superman at that time. He's just whatever. He's properly grounded character of a superhero, and I enjoyed every little bit of it. And like, I have no issues with this. I would give this movie for actually what it was and like the filming for this thing. I would give it a decent 8. I'm not gonna lie. I'll give it a decent 8
Holy shit!
for its time. For its time period. No, for its time period. For its time period and what the time period they gave it, and what's it called, and like how much time they had to do things. It was 12
Yeah.
days
Yeah,
to
that's
fucking work this, and like it's an hour-long movie, and they did a decent amount of storytelling and giving you enough detail to grasp what's happening.
Mhm.
And within 1 hour and 12 days of actual work days, they could like how long did they? I want to know now. Actually, how long did they have the script time? Like, was the script building within the 12 days, and they really only had a few days of filming, or was that's 12 days of filming?
Well, they
Like,
obviously set it in like one set location, so like that's why it
yeah,
was
it was
able
easier.
to
It was
film
like
in 12
just
days.
go,
Yeah,
go, 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 go.
from like
But
wherever in
like,
California.
I give it like a decent 8 for what time period and what they had to go through to make this movie. And I enjoy that the characters actually did the job instead of just being pointless to me or shitty,
Mhm.
or they had this useless character. The sheriff was I'm just gonna say the sheriff was fucking useless.
He was pretty.
Yes,
But
He at least said
I
but
would slap the shit out of you.
He
represents, but he does a decent representing of like a town of like how some
small
sheriffs or like
town.
some small towns, some cops or some law enforcement don't have so much control, and the people have more control than them. He
Right.
does do a decent job of doing that, like showing that. Like at that time, I think that was somewhat of a thing. They're in like, including they're in the what, like the Midwest or something like that.
Yeah, I
I
think
think
they're in the
so. Yeah.
Midwest from how the landscape looks.
So
Yeah.
like out
Maybe
there is
something
just like what fucking happens
Um,
happens.
I'm pretty sure they filmed in California, but like not in Hollywood, like some like
But like,
desert. You know?
oh yeah, but like it's just meant to be like it's supposed to be more of a West. Come
Yeah,
on now, we had a
100%.
cowboy cooking beans on a fire.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I enjoyed this movie, and like it's actually pretty good. And like Josh showed me a couple like episodes of like later on stuff that we had from it,
Yeah.
like their
In
show
the television show, yeah.
when they left freaking Lois Lane in the hole, and him and wow, Jimmy Olsen
Jimmy
was like,
Olsen.
all right, let's just leave her, and they just fuck off.
Yeah, that's the show. Yeah.
No, I enjoy this old stuff. The old stuff is like that's the piece of resistance that on this. It's like perfect. That's good. Anything
Yeah.
newer, I'm just gonna be.
That's the essence
Yeah.
of Superman. You got to go to the roots.
I'm gonna piggyback off what Matt said. This does, for me, it takes me back to when we did Superman Smashes the Klan, the comic and the radio show. And especially with this coming out when it did, when a lot of intolerance was still going on, and not also that, but people were still getting over prejudices. Prejudice was still very rampant, especially in small communities. This made me think back, like, you have people from the outside coming in telling you, like, hey, why are you messing with something you don't know anything about? It could be, they were telling them they could be potentially harmless, and everybody else was like, no, they're dangerous, and they just drowned out the voices of reason. I do love the fact that it was an hour, because they got such a powerful point across without needing. I think it could have went over maybe about another 5 minutes, just for a longer exposition. Just to have them talk to Benson and say, like, look at the irreparable damage you just caused to the town because of your fear and anger. But that's the only thing I felt they could have used the extra time for. I like how, despite everyone being in a panic and a frenzy, you still have people very steadfast in their beliefs. Like, even though I'm scared, I'm going to do what's right, and I'm going to set an example for others to follow, which, it did come, later on, as the sheriff did attempt to restrain Benson from causing any further chaos and run amok. But even when like how when the mole men came back with, their weapons to try to, fight everybody else off, Superman was telling them, please, I'll make sure nothing else happens to you or, your people. Just go back to where you're from, and we will never bother you again. And it did make me think about how, with indigenous people who were here before, and how they had all of their, livelihood and way of culture taken from them during the Trail of Tears, and even during the slave trade during the colonial times. Like, I'm sure, everybody's, ancestral spirits who, are watching this through, our lenses are like, this is so, I'm sure they're crying extreme tears of joy, knowing that now that there is a voice through media telling people, there's no reason to be afraid of something you don't understand, or because somebody looks or acts a certain way that you're not used to. Everybody has their own walk of life, and you just have to let them move to the beat of their own drum. And if you want to march in time with them, you can do that. And if not, just leave them alone. I'm going to give this a very solid 10. I would use this.
What?
You went above me. You went above me. I thought I was being ballsy. Jesus.
Yeah.
This was good. I did enjoy this.
I thought you were going to give it. I thought the way you guys reacted, I thought I was like the only high baller here. I thought you guys were like, oh, I would give this like a 5 or a 6. And
I'm just super surprised. I'm very surprised how high you guys are rating this.
But
this
like,
I would take this to some elementary kids. I would show them
100%.
Superman Smashes the Klan, and then as an immediate follow up, Superman and the Mole Men, because obviously the Mole Men, they look different, and everybody looks different. Like, Crispy looks way different from his brother. I look different from my brother. Josh, you look different from your brother. And like, if we were to go out, like if we were to go out and people saw how different we look from them. Like, I've had people give me weird looks and stuff, but they just still go on about their business. And I think it's something that kind of gone astray with how society has started shifting with how people view themselves and body image and everything. And I think this is a good way to tell kids, it's okay to be different, no matter, what somebody else might try to do to you. You know, being different is all right because somebody out there isn't gonna mess with you.
And I want to say one more thing. Like it's fun. It's funny how like we are starting to claim like we're woke now, or like this woke thing is happening. And I'm like loving how like every time we read and watch this Superman stuff, and they're woke as fuck, like pointing out things, stating things, and I'm like, yo, we like these guys have been on the game since like the 50s. So
Yeah.
if we could have
even
focused on
earlier.
this shit, yo, this could have been fixed a
Yeah.
little. We could have been having a little bit better times.
Even, you know what? I was listening to the radio show a couple weeks ago. I was just listening to whatever episode, and like instead of having their commercial break, they were just talking about like
Daily things.
like tolerance, just tolerance for like kids. You know, they're like you know, like it was right during the war, right after the war, and they're saying like, oh, we need to be great neighbors to you know, to our other countries, you know, like China and all this stuff. And the only way to have a great relation is to, you know, abide and have, you know, neighborly conduct between each other. And they're like saying, you know, the way you could do this, kids, is by, you know, next time you have your baseball game and you see and there's someone who's like lives down the street and he speaks a different language and you know, he's a little different, you know, ask him to join your team. And this is like 1940. I don't know. This is 1940s. And it was just crazy to me.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit. Like,
I was like,
how they were just like, they're just trying to tell kids just to be tolerant of each other. And especially after the war, they're like just saying, like, just be neighborly, you know, in a bigger sense to countries and in a smaller sense than your own community. And it was like really about the community. Like, back then, and I feel like a lot of that is missing today. And it was just crazy how that was even
nowadays.
stated.
It's like we're on top of each other and we're more dividing than actual. When people make
Because it's
speeches,
all this
they
like
make a speech is like, oh, let's be better each other, but at the same time, they more pitch the pitch of like, do fuck these other groups and all this. Like it's a mixture. It's a mixed thing.
You're not allowed to have open debate or conversation really anymore. It's always like, no, I'm right, you're wrong, and if you say otherwise, then you're kicked out, you're canceled, you're out of the team, you know. And then that's not going to help anyone. You got to openly debate, you know, conflicts, even if the person is wrong. You know, they should be able to discuss why they feel that way, and then you have a debate, and maybe you could win someone over. The only way to win someone over is to have a debate. You can't just X them out of society and expect them expect the problem to be solved. Like, that's just going to make the problem way worse.
Yeah, way worse. And it's a thing nobody wants to admit when they're wrong, especially when it's I'm not going to say to a serious issue, but it leads into, you know, a serious problem.
Yeah.
Because it's like, if you're wrong, you know, you're wrong and you need to accept you're wrong. People now are like, okay, I'm wrong, but I'm going to convince you why I'm still technically right. Like, no, when you're wrong, you're wrong. There's no going around that, because then you're just trying to manipulate and twist, you know, an ideal into something that it isn't.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it just needs to be open for a conversation. That's the only way to
and
others.
It doesn't feel like that anymore nowadays. It just feels like we're all stating
everyone's shut
like,
down.
Fuck you.
I don't agree with what you're saying. You're canceled.
Or or like people. Yeah, we can't keep doing that. It's so fucking stupid.
No, it's stupid.
I get it. Understand. There's certain people out there. Yeah, we should just tune them out because they're just being just nonsense. But like, it doesn't make sense.
But those people should still be able to have a voice, and then you understand their thought process. At least you could at least kind of see where they're coming from, or at least their perspective on things.
I just hate it's like I just hate how people actually can start off with a good run, then ruin it at the end point. It doesn't.
And everyone makes mistakes. Everyone fucks up. So like, you're going to be defined by the one fuck up of your life. Like, that's like, then everyone should be canceled. Every single person on earth should be canceled then. If you're just gonna
Because
dwell on the
everybody has
Oh
made
god.
huge mistakes.
100%.
Huge.
You know,
If everybody
Unless
was
you're like-
perfect, then we would,
right?
we'd essentially be living in heaven on earth.
Yeah. Then exactly. You'd be basically
Real.
Jesus or something.
Oh god.
I didn't give my rating, and I find
Oh,
this
you haven't
very
yet.
funny.
We keep interrupting.
What my
Hey,
rate? No, it's fine. This is a good conversation that we're having. To be honest, we're having a more deep conversation than I thought we would with this, with this movie. But which is great.
Like,
That's
it
the whole
hits.
point of this.
It hits in a certain
Yeah.
way, and it brings it out.
Yeah, it's a big lesson on tolerance, and especially for that time period. And this is great for little kids to watch. I'm gonna give it the lowest rating out of everyone, which I find the funniest.
What?
Because I'm the biggest Superman fan.
Whoa.
I
Okay,
appreciate
I'm in
what
the
it is, but
mid-ground.
it's obviously like cheesy and like pretty funny.
Oh,
at the
he's
same
going
time
for critical
like,
Superman fan.
No.
Critical Superman fan.
I would rather
Everybody,
watch this than
critical
like
Superman fan.
I would no. This is everything, the essence of Superman, like that I want in a piece of media. It's just from just rating it alone.
Guys over here, we got a Superman fan. We got a Superman.
I'm just saying if I was just if I was like just a blind Superman fan, I would just give everything Superman a 10 without even like giving it any critical thinking. But since I care so much about the character, I'm not going to do that. I want to see the
critical
best
thinker
out of the
fan.
character. Fuck you,
I'm joking.
It's definitely above average for me. I'm going to give this a 6 out of 10. I do enjoy it. It's obviously like a shoestring budget, like they don't have that many effects for Superman. I think even like in the show
That's
itself,
what made
they
it
have
better
more.
For me.
They have more effects in like one episode of the George Reeves show than they did in this whole movie. But this is like a great feature-length film and like a great lesson for kids, for tolerance and even adults alike. I think it's a good film to show people. And I think like even if you're not really that much of a fan of Superman, I think you would still get enjoyment out of this or get something out of this movie. Especially if you're a fan of classic cinema. So yeah, 6 out of 10. But I just found that funny.
That's so interesting. I was not expecting.
I wasn't expecting either. The way I went, I thought you guys were just like, look at my girl, you're rating it at like 8, and I'm just like, am I gonna be the weird one? Am I gonna be the one that's like, enjoying this the most? Am I the person?
I just find it funny.
It came out and Jerry's like a 10, and then you're like,
yeah,
I'm the one that actually didn't like it the most.
No, I like it.
I
like it. I definitely like it. Don't get me wrong. I think a 6 out of 10 is still a good rating. It's definitely above average.
It's a good rating, but like it's just shocking that we gave it a higher ranking than you, and you're the person like I thought you were going to give it a better ranking because you're the one suggesting it.
Yeah,
and,
I never seen this. I never seen this before. I never seen this movie before.
Oh,
this is my
okay.
first introduction to it. I seen some episodes. I never seen the movie, so I never seen it. Actually, my uncle Mike, who's he actually suggested for me to watch it. Oh, Jerry's gone. Jerry,
what happened?
Jerry, come back.
Jerry, come back.
Well,
Joshua changed his rating for you.
He'll come back. But anyway,
Jerry, come back.
My uncle Mike's seen this. Okay, my uncle Mike's seen this when he was a kid, and he suggested it for me to watch. Not for the podcast, just in general to watch it. There's Jerry again. He came back.
That was so random.
You're like a mole person. You're like a mole person. You went underground and you reemerged. Okay, let's move on. Who's? I think it's Jerry's suggestion.
It's my pick.
Podcast.
Yep.
Yeah.
And mine
go
is
ahead.
an
What-
interesting
I'm
pick.
actually scared.
So for the short, we will be
I'm
watching
scared
Resident
because-
Evil Infinite Darkness episode 4. And
Okay.
for the feature film, we will be watching Silent Hill, the first one, not Revelations, the first one.
Is that
Silent
from-
Hill is on. No, it's from
Who's that from?
2006, I believe,
Oh, okay.
or 2002. It's a early
I-
2000s movie, and Resident Evil is on Netflix.
I'm actually pretty shocked. That's the
Yeah.
Netflix series that came out, right? Oh God. I gotta watch that again.
Silent Hill. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Not Revelations, but just the original
Wait,
Silent
is Silent
Hill.
Hill the,
We don't talk
Yeah,
about
I'm
Revelations.
is
seeing
the
it
Silent
now.
Hill movie the one you're trying to?
Yeah, these.
Is that the one you were trying to? You were telling me last night you're trying to
No,
find.
that was completely.
Is that the
different
movie or is that a
You'll
different
see.
movie?
You'll see that.
Okay. Because that was what I was terrified about. I was like, okay. I'm wondering what the fuck this is. I'm kind of scared. I don't know what the hell. It's like he
No,
was
when
searching hard for this one movie.
No, when I recommend the movie I just found, it's going to be a huge curveball, Crispy, because you wouldn't expect it.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
I
wasn't
definitely.
expecting you to drop that Resident Evil movie show.
This is definitely
Oh,
something
that's a
I would
curveball,
have
man.
never watched on my own. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Like I'm not gonna lie, I enjoyed the Resident Evil show, but I did not enjoy it to be like I'm going back to it.
We're going back,
And I'm
baby.
going back to it.
Season 2,
It was better
we're
than
back.
the movie. I'm not gonna lie, it's better than the fucking movie that just recently came
Okay.
out. So
So if you don't want to be
It is
spoiled
better.
for Resident Evil Episode 4 and Silent Hill, make sure to watch it before next episode.
Right, which will be 2 weeks from now. We're doing 8:00 for summer hours because it's later. So okay, we're gonna sign out. 3, 2, 1. Okay, this was Josh from BatYard Productions sending you off up and away until next BatYard's finest episode.
and I'm Superman's pal Matt. And
I'm Jerry,
Pointing at me.
guiding you all with Green Lantern's light,
All right.
and we're becoming super pals, one episode at a time.
Awesome. That was a good episode. It's been a while since we did Superman, so I'm glad we touched upon that. I'm gonna go somewhere else next episode. Next choice I have. We'll see. Anyway, good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
good night.
I don't know when
Pointing sucks.